Hi, welcome to howtomassageahorse.com. This is Geary Whiting, and this is my student and friend, Buddy Beavers. I want to hit a couple of little points today for you to think about. One is, in doing a massage on a horse, the intimacy factor. And we're going to talk about how it should feel after a treatment on a horse. So let me introduce Buddy Beavers. Buddy, tell us a little bit about your background, and you're a farrier for 55 years?
53 years, horse shoer, certified. That and oil field work is about all I've ever done in my life. We're born and raised in Oklahoma. Most of my clientele has been in California and Nevada, and I've taught school in Arabia, and been all over the world shoeing, but more in California than anywhere else.
Well, when you and I first when you first contacted me about coming to school, we got into some good conversations. I said to myself, man, I'm going to like having this guy in my school. A lot of things I teach in the hoof care portion, even though I'm not a farrier, really made sense to me when I started thinking about it and started teaching it, because I talk a lot about form, function, and design. And so as we were talking, a number of the things we talked about, you were actually supporting what I had been teaching, and it really was good to get this from a master farrier, someone like yourself who has got so much experience, and you kind of are a person who has thought outside the box, just like myself. So it was nice to have someone simply corroborate and support what I have been teaching my students. So I knew I was going to have a good time with you in school. So now, what I want to talk about is you decided you didn't want to be hunched over working on horses anymore, and you decided I want to actually be a stand-up person and massage horses and do something that's not as demanding. It can be demanding, but not like being a farrier in that compromised position so much. So now when you came into school, I want to talk first, Buddy, about what the horse will feel after what I teach in my school. And the best way to do that is to tell your experience from when you came in and I worked on you and what has come about, because you have experienced it firsthand. Even though the horse won't audibly tell you, the horse can experience the same thing you did. So start from the beginning when you came in and tell how you feel today after your experience yesterday being worked on.
It was like I was born again. I slept for the first time in years for 8 hours and wasn't up 3 times or 4 times. And range of motion was far better than I've experienced in years and years. When you get used to an alley somewhere in the horseshoeing business, you eat the pain and just go around with your neck crooked. And if your lower back hurts, well, you just pick the horse up higher, and that starts a fight, and so on and so forth. But I feel really, really good, totally rejuvenated, even more physical strength after the treatment you gave me yesterday.
Well, my students would not have any idea what the horse is going to experience after they worked on you, because I adapted the art of shiatsu from the human to the horse. And I recognize the same responses from the horse as I've seen with people since going back to 1981 when I first started working on people. Shiatsu is very powerful. It corrects problems. It isn't necessarily a feel-good massage until afterwards. Exactly. You feel really good. You feel like you own the world, and you go, wow, I just feel like I got a release on life. Well, so now, since you've experienced it and you are doing good on your technique, you're going to know firsthand what this horse is going to realize after you've worked on it.
Exactly.
And so for all the students that come into my program, I work on all of them because I want them to feel what the horse is going to feel afterwards. And once you understand that, then you're going to realize how much power you have. Now, one thing I want to move on to is the connection between the horse and the human. In my textbook, my study program, my 240-page program with 9 chapters in it, on the cover, you've got me with an intimate position holding the horse. The horse's eyes are closed, and I'm kissing the horse on the nose. Well, it's also going to be on the graduation certificate. Now, I've had some of my students kind of get a little sideways on that, go, well, why do I want a picture of you on my certificate? I said, it's very simple. I said, every time you see that intimacy between me and that horse, it's going to remind you, you need to do the same thing. You need to have that intimacy in zone 1. And it's not there to glorify Geary Whiting. It's not there for any other reason other than a constant reminder that you've got to be intimate. Now, when we were working today, I corrected your technique a little bit, and as you were working on the horse was kind of like fidgety and acting up. But the moment I went in and did my technique, you saw an instant change come over that horse's demeanor. And so this is the intimacy part. When I do a horse, it's not only skill and technique, but it's intimacy, heart to heart. And that horse knows that. The horse knows if you're touching it the right way, it's just like we know if it's sincere or not. So the hallmark in my program is not can you massage a horse, but can you get the horse's heart? And that's what this program is really about, is connecting the intimate part of you and that horse.
Well, you'll notice Roy Rogers only kissed Trigger, never Dale. So he knew more than we thought he did.
I never thought of that. Good old Roy, he was ahead of the curve. So anyway, that's what we were talking. I wanted to talk about in this little bit today. I wanted to give you a little background on Buddy, and I always feel special when someone of Buddy's quality and background, a little bit legendary, I'm going to say, comes into my program, because there's other programs out there, but when I get these super people that come into my program and they choose to learn from me, I appreciate that, because teachers do touch the future, and this teacher has a lot to share.
So if someone would have done what you done to the horse before I got there, I could have probably shod horses another 10 years. Because you can't believe the kicking pack mules and horses that I'd done when I was starting out all through the years. And I believe every one of them was protesting because he had algae, more so than his attitude. I mean, attitude played a big part because of how they're handled and everything, but if a horse is relaxed, you've got a much easier horse to work on.
I told you this story, I'll repeat it to the audience. I'd worked on a horse up in Fireball. My first 2 students were a mother and daughter that came to my program. Well, I worked on their horse, and the farrier came in, he didn't know that I'd been there. And these were kind of trouble horses for him, and every farrier has their horse that's going to get his Achilles tendon. It's going to run the risk of doing him in. And so he worked on the horses, and he came to Penny, the owner, and says, something is different about your horse. I mean, I'm usually concerned about your horses, but they were so compliant. She said, oh yeah, we had Geary Whiting come out and work on our horses, and we just got back from his school. Well, the light bulb came on real bright for this farrier. He sent his wife to my school so she could go in front of him and take care of the horses that would maybe put him in a wheelchair, or maybe 6 foot under, or turn him into a vegetable. So he saw the value in